On today's episode of the Marketing Update, is Google compromising their search engine for Google+?
New age of search optimization.
Death to SOPA.
A social word of the wise. We're going to answer the question, what are your best tips to improve online lead gen?
And a scarcity of women causes men to save more or save less?
Or spend more or spend less, either way.
It does one of those.
Spending more.
We'll
and
find
also,
out.
We'll tell you about the world's longest phone call.
Stay tuned for all that and more. Welcome to the Marketing Update. It's January 20th, 2012, and we're coming to you live from Cambridge, Massachusetts. Oh, come on, guys. That was like the lamest cheer I've ever heard. Can we have it again? We're coming to you live from Cambridge, Massachusetts. Thank you.
They were worried with the new AV setup there was going to be a huge echo of themselves hearing themselves cheering, so I think they were a little tentative.
I'm Karen Rubin.
I'm Mike Volpe. The hashtag is MKTGUp. Feel free to interact with the show. We're starting a new thing. We're trying this week. We're asking a question during the week, having you answer, incorporating the answers into the show.
Gets
so
you more
check
followers,
that out.
I swear.
Old episodes are in iTunes.
5-star
reviews, the ones we love the best.
And
Anyone's welcome to come by.
And if you
who's
come
here?
by,
yes.
Sometimes you get special things. Like today, we're being sponsored by 5 Hour Energy. Very lucky. They're here with 3 different flavors to give away as free samples: grape, pomegranate, and berry. So all sorts of flavors of 5 Hour Energy. Have you ever tried this stuff?
I tend to derive my own energy from my own things, but I will try this one. Now that they have
Will you take it on the show so we can measure your...
We were thinking about that. I was actually about to tell everyone that your energy is powered by 5 Hour Energy.
It could be. It's entirely possible, but that'll be my secret that I take to the grave.
Or they've got like Karen Rubin extract in here.
They do.
That's
exactly
little chemicals that they suck out from you and put in here so everyone else can have the energy
and it goes into 5 Hour Energy.
Yeah,
I make millions doing it.
That's right. There's like a licensing fee in here. It's
Brian Whaley actually has like an entire desk drawer full of this stuff that he just chugs down all day long.
Everybody in sales was walking in here grabbing like 5 and being like, I'm going to hit quota this month. So
is that what we need to do? We just keep 5 Hour Energy stocked in the office?
If that works, then the ROI is very high. So I
excellent.
encourage you to check that out.
All right, headlines.
All right. Yes, headlines. We go into the question of the week.
Oh, you want to talk about the question of the week?
So the question of the week is, what are your best tips to improve online lead gen? Tweet with the hashtag. We might incorporate your answers. We already had some people tweeting yesterday, so that's good. All right, headlines.
So the first one is Google compromising their search engine for Google+.
Yes.
This came from John Patel, and I thought it was a really interesting point. You can search for a lot of things now, and what comes up in the first couple of results is Google+ results. So, for example, if you search his name, you don't get his website, johnpatel.com, first. You get his Google+ account. That was what he said in the article. I didn't actually try it. But in any case, he had a bunch of different examples where...
Doesn't work for me.
I guess it probably depends. I mean, it's all personalized.
Maybe they're trying to get him to use Google Plus more, so when he searches for himself, they're like, oh, Google Plus.
But the idea is Google Plus is showing up a lot of places, and he was wondering and asking the question, is Google taking away a lot of first clicks and sending them to Google Plus to try and drive the search engine and compromising just how great their search results are?
Are they doing the thing that Google always resisted doing, which is becoming more of a portal and less of a search engine?
Well, I think they're trying to become a portal, aren't they?
I guess. It's funny because portal's like so old school. It's like AOL, like 97, like, you know. Right. Yeah. And Google was always the anti-portal.
I mean, apparently somebody at Google, I don't remember who, I didn't put it in the show notes, one of the big shots, said something along the lines of like all their bonuses this year are being derived by the success of Google Plus, of their social strategy.
Interesting.
And so that changes your incentives and it makes things really aligned with pushing this social media engine. And is that really the best thing for the search engine?
And John didn't name who his source was, but he did say his source that was really direct about this. They said, he said a source said at Google that Google has decided that beating Facebook is worth selling their soul.
I thought Google was like, do no evil, right? Is this evil?
I don't know.
But what does this mean for marketers? I mean, if this is the case and Google Plus results are showing up in search engine, Google Plus is showing up in search engine results everywhere.
Well, you
can't avoid it, right? You got to be using Google Plus.
I think you at least have to evaluate it, and the marketing takeaway is see if there's Google Plus pages showing up for your key search terms, and then think about what you can do to get onto those pages or start other pages that are similar, or et cetera, et cetera. But just see if it's affecting searches for the key things that people search for your company.
Yep. So the next story, New Age Search Optimization, covering all the search stories right up front this week.
Yeah, this is coming from Kuno Creative. It was actually Chad Pollitt, who I'm on a panel webinar next week to talk about content marketing versus inbound marketing, and it's this whole big debate, which we're reframing.
Are you guys going to have like a wrestling match? Because I don't know Chad, but I bet you'd win.
Well, so it's actually not, so I was leading up to that. It's actually not with Chad, it's with like 3 or 4 other people, but I do think actually I could wrestle all of them successfully.
At the same time and win.
No, I don't know about all of them, because it's like 4 people, so it's like a lot of people. But individually, one-on-one, I think it's Marcus Sheridan.
It's the content marketing, inbound marketing smackdown.
It would be, yeah. It's Marcus Sheridan, like very feisty, lots of energy, but like I think smaller guy. Ardith Albee, so I think wrestling-wise, I mean, I wrestled in high school.
Do you have to wear like a Lycra suit?
I don't know. Yeah, we'll see. No,
I might
in any event,
it's not.
It's more of just a conversation. In any event, I was tweeting about that, and Chad came back with a link to this article that he had written about how SEO is changing, and SEOs are gone more from the technical side of things into more of the marketing side of things, and are even now getting more and more turned into. SEO is being more and more turned into a role that has a lot more to do with social and content than it does with technical things on your site.
Right, and this is because of the changes Google's made to their algorithm. It's not about just having the right keywords on the pages and getting a lot of backlinks and doing all these things. It's about creating really great content and optimizing it and promoting it, social media, Google Plus.
Yeah, 10 years ago you could do technical things to your website to rank better, and now it's a lot more about more of a marketing-centric activity.
Yep. What I liked was they then turned that around and talked about what that means you need to do.
Yes.
And it's a really good point. It's one we've talked about before, but their takeaway was you need to ignore where you rank on keyword phrases and focus on how many keywords actually drive traffic to your website. That it's a lot less important that you rank #1 for keyword X and a lot more important that you have a whole bunch of keywords that you rank for in some way and send traffic to your site. And they had some interesting stats. They said that they've taken this approach with their own organic traffic and they've seen a 556% increase in organic traffic by focusing more on getting keywords that are sending them traffic than worrying about like where they rank.
How do you think they measured that number, Karen?
Well, I happen to know that Kuno Creative is a HubSpot customer, and I expect they used the HubSpot tool to do it.
They did. I know for a fact that they did.
The other one they had, Marketing Tech Blog, said that 72% of the organic traffic comes from phrases which appear on the second page or beyond. It's that long tail. Long tail's super interesting. And so it's not just about high volume keywords getting on the first page. It's about creating lots of content and searching for those keywords that actually drive traffic.
And that is a paraphrase of the marketing takeaway, so I will not repeat it.
Nice.
All right, death to SOPA. So what is SOPA?
Happened this week.
I know.
We talked about SOPA last week, but just to reiterate, SOPA and its counterpart PIPA, right? Did I get that right? They're the 2 bills that were going through the House of Representatives and House of Congress and the Senate to try and stop international piracy. Well, basically, they were going to destroy the internet. But their intention wasn't to destroy...
And piracy, both at the same time.
They're basically brought by the people that run the big media companies, the movie industries, Hollywood, all of that.
It's all Rupert Murdoch's fault.
And they're trying to stop people from stealing their content and putting it online.
Yep.
Noble goal.
So they decided they would destroy all online content. And because there's piracy on the internet, we will eliminate the internet.
Right. Unfortunately, because SOPA was written in such broad terms, it would have taken down websites like YouTube and any social media site.
It's like if there's one pirated thing on YouTube, all of YouTube, like if you went to youtube.com, it like would cease to exist, the entire site. Which is definitely like the best way to do things.
Of course. In websites with a lot of consumer-generated content like social networks, it would make the website responsible for everything individuals posted on their site. So you can see how that applies to something like Facebook, but you can also see how that applies to your own personal blog and commenters. You would be responsible for everything they posted, even if they were pirating other people's information. So it was really broad. A couple of things happened. Obviously, the high-tech industry space, Silicon Valley, all of us here at HubSpot, we're not big supporters of SOPA. And so a couple of websites on Wednesday took it into their own hands to make a statement. Wikipedia, Reddit, I Can't Has Cheeseburger, a whole bunch of others. They participated in I Can't Has Cheeseburger is a legitimate website, folks.
I was going to say,
you mean... The internet goes down if you can't see cat photos.
Yeah, I was going to say, you mean we were without cat photos on the internet for an entire day?
For a day. And you know what? The senators and the representatives, they listened. So and basically, they all took their websites down. Wikipedia took Wikipedia down.
English version.
For a day, the English version.
Yep.
So if you went to it and you got a page that was a blacked out page and explained what was going on, they said 162 million people experienced the blackout. And they had a call to action on this page to look up your congressional rep to let them know that you were upset, and 8 million U.S. readers did so.
Google put a little blackout thing over their logo, so the site was still functional, but they blacked out their logo, and then they had a call to action to sign up and sign a petition. 4.5 million people signed the petition. It's
incredible. And so a couple of big companies stepped up and to fight this legislation and make a statement about it. And
it's now totally dead.
It's now totally dead.
Totally
As of this afternoon.
Obama came out against it, and now the senator who submitted it has basically
pulled the bill.
Pulled his tail between his legs and running, screaming, just well,
one of there were two of them that brought it up, and one of them backed away yesterday and said, I'm not supporting this anymore. Clearly, we don't know enough, and we need to do something that's better. The other thing, though, that was interesting was Rupert Murdoch, who's a big media mogul. This Hollywood stuff is very important to him. He also recently got a Twitter account, apparently, with a whole bunch of followers. And he put his newfound Twitter fame to use by, attacking Obama and Silicon Valley. He was
talking about his views on the
legislation. Obama has thrown in his lot with Silicon Valley paymasters who threaten all software creators with piracy. Plain thievery. What I thought was
interesting
Piracy
leader is Google, who streams free movies, sells advertisements around them. No wonder pouring millions into lobbying. Blah, 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 the stuff.
I thought was interesting.
I don't think that the tech industry spends more on lobbying than the Hollywood and the TV industry, though.
So basically, he was upset that Obama was throwing himself in with a tech lobbyists instead of with the Hollywood lobbyists, which he is a part of. In any case, what this does mean is that Obama's going to need to focus a little bit more on getting campaign funds from Silicon Valley and a little bit less on getting it from Hollywood. In any case,
or just the broad base of the internet, which is a lot of what fueled him last time, right? And obviously, he definitely catered to that audience more with this move.
So it's interesting. Last week we told you to pay attention to this legislation because it might impact you, and here we're telling you that it's not a problem anymore, and good job for paying attention.
There we go.
But the marketing takeaway here is controversial topics spur people to action, and use that to help further things you're interested in or push interesting conversation.
Totally. So we've got a new segment that we're, at least this week, calling Social Word to the Wise. And we asked the question, what are your, where is that?
It's right there.
Whoa,
are you getting old?
A little bit. What are your best tips to improve online lead generation? And we had a bunch of answers, and I think we've got a short video that we're going to roll.
We do.
We have, yes.
Check out this new segment from the Marketing Update, Social Word to the Wise. All right, excellent. With that Social Word to the Wise, Mike, what are your best tips to improve online lead gen?
We have all these great comments from all these different folks, right?
Okay, why don't you share some of those?
I mean, well, no. I mean, I think those were mostly in the video, but we do have a couple other here that came in.
Ooh.
Well, okay, this is actually slightly different. So Inbound Sales is saying, don't underestimate your competition, which maybe is a good tip for online lead gen, but it was specifically with respect to me wrestling Ardith LB.
He said size doesn't matter.
Size doesn't matter. She is tougher than you think. I will give her the credit for that. She is not at all a pushover. Yeah.
All right.
But Kyle Porter said, become recognized in your industry for creating premium content so your stuff gets shared a ton.
And Salem,
I think it's important.
I think it's true. And Salem Stanley said that diversifying lead sources, test and abandon what doesn't work.
There you go.
I always
It's
think
about
that's
that
great.
portfolio management theory, you know, monitor all your different investments.
So stay tuned this week for the next social word to the wise question, which will be posted from the HubSpot Twitter account. And you can get on HubSpot marketing update next week.
And we will probably retweet it as well. All right, so scarcity of women causes men to save less and spend more.
I flubbed this one on the intro. In any case, this is a study done by the University of Minnesota. Basically, they got a whole bunch of dudes in a room together, and they had them read articles that either talked about how there were a lot more men in the world or a lot more women in the world, or in their environment or their community or whatever, about the population. And then they asked them a bunch of questions about how much money they would save, and credit cards, and all that kind of stuff, their debt and whatnot.
And when the articles suggested that there was a surplus of men, the savings rate fell 42%, and the men were willing to borrow 84% more on their credit cards each month.
So the savings, it made sense. Like, all right, savings rate fell 42% because they don't have to save as much money because they don't have to buy as much stuff for the women, right? And then they're willing to borrow more money because they don't have to answer to their wives if there aren't as many women around about why they're borrowing so much money.
But when there's a surplus of men, Karen.
Right, way more men than women.
There's more men, right. Oh, she's saying, so the savings rate fell
because they don't have to save as much money because they aren't going to have any women to buy stuff for.
No,
I'm trying to figure out the psychology.
No, the psychology is that you need to, like, show that you have more bling so you can attract a smaller number of women because you have more competition.
I see, I see, okay.
Right. It's like the peacock. It's like you need the bigger, brighter feathers if there's less, like, female peaklocks around, right?
So there are fewer peacocks, so they buy more bling, thus saving less money.
Right.
God, I don't understand men at all.
Clearly. This is why I'm here, Karen. This is my contribution to the show. So they also found real-life evidence of this behavior. So they looked at 2 different cities in Georgia that were less than 100 miles away from each other. The one where there was 1.18 single men for every woman, the average consumer debt was almost $3,500 higher than it was in another town less than 100 miles away, so very close to each other, where there were 0.8 single men for every woman.
Right.
So it's like they even found real-world evidence of this behavior. So I just thought this was really interesting from, like, I mean, from many perspectives, but even like we were like, well, what's the marketing? I think there's actually some interesting marketing lessons here.
There is. It has to do with advertising, right?
Well,
so if you want people to buy
and things like that, yes.
If you want a bunch of dudes to buy your product, you shouldn't show advertisements with lots of women in them. You should show advertisements with one woman and lots of men.
Right, like indicating.
You're laughing at me, but that's what the article said.
That's what the article said. I think it goes a little further than that. Into like the more generalizable takeaway is it's really important to understand the psychology of your buyer and the psychology of your customer, right?
Yep.
And so if you're selling products to men, that's an interesting thing to know. And maybe you should have a slightly different marketing strategy depending on the environment that they're in. So if you're marketing to men in the areas where there's more women around, maybe you need to position your product a little differently than where there's not, and things like that, right? So I don't know, but you should think about what's the psychology of your buyers. I think it's important. So
they also indicated that the sex ratios didn't affect women's financial decisions, and I'm sitting here not listening to you because I'm trying to figure out what that means.
Well, I mean, so it's interesting. So it didn't affect their women's financial decisions, so what they spent money on. So like they asked, like, how much you spend, how much you not spend, whatever. It didn't change, but it did affect their expectations of how much men should spend on them. So if there's less men around, women expect men to spend more on them. No, sorry, the other way around. If there's more men around, women expect more competition, so like you should spend more on them.
Oh, all right.
Right? Whereas if there's less men around, they didn't expect it as much.
So weird. All right.
It's the fundamentals of economics. It's supply and demand.
It's psychology.
It's psychology, but it's based on supply and demand.
So
like
the
this stuff
marketing
is
takeaway
generally
here is
applicable.
to try and understand the psychology that drives your buyers.
It's very important.
Clearly,
all right.
This is not the role I play at HubSpot.
The Ludlow group says, social word of the wise is a great idea. Really enjoyed the 80s jazz music in the background. Can't wait to participate next week.
What you missed was me dancing off camera while that was playing, because I enjoyed it too.
Yeah. So in any event, we have, this came in from Brian Hawkins earlier this week. So he referenced, when he sent this in, that we currently hold the world record for the world's largest online seminar.
Yes,
because we have very large webinars. And we had like 30,000 people register for this webinar. So we have the Guinness certified world's largest online seminar.
We have like a big sign plaque on the wall about that.
We have a plaque, so you know it's official. But he wrote in that he does marketing for this company called Poingo, which does
International calling cards.
Calling cards, and they decided to have a world record as well. So they're doing literally right now, they are doing the world's longest phone call, which needs to be how long, Karen?
It needs to be 43 hours, 8 minutes, and 55 seconds.
Right.
That's
so
a long phone call.
They've been doing it since yesterday. And here's what they did, because there's actually a bunch of really specific rules. It's not just like the line is open and there's stuff going back and forth. It's like you can only cover the same topic no more than twice.
It also has to be two people.
Two people.
Individuals. You can't swap in people.
Right.
They can
Same
only
people.
have pause for 10 seconds between comments.
Yep.
Each performer must make a meaningful contribution consisting
say
of
yes.
more than yes or no.
Yeah.
They're not allowed to read, cite, or script. They must never return to the same topic twice. They can only address each other, and the conversation has to last.
Yes.
And so they
for
got
43 hours.
2 Harvard University students to do this.
They're
because
like-
only
they're part of
college
this-
kids are stupid enough to do this.
Totally. And they're performers. They're part of this performance project at Harvard called, I think, The Generalist.
They're like in bed talking to each other on the phone, and I
No,
wonder.
they're in a theater. They're actually, you can go there live and watch.
Okay, but
And they
got it
also
set
have-
up like they're in bed. Like
Yeah, I'm
they've
sure.
got-
I think
they're
they have
trying
2
to be
different
comfortable.
performance spaces or something like that.
43
But
hours
you
to
can-
stay awake and talk. Like that wouldn't even be hard for me.
Yeah, and that's saying something. And they're live streaming it, but each one has their own live stream because you only get one side of the conversation.
play them both,
so
it
it's sort
works.
of if you play them both at the same time, and then you can look at whichever
I
video.
was worried
It's sort
the
of
lag
interesting.
wouldn't work, but it worked.
Well, it's probably lagged equally, so it's but it's so really, I mean, just interesting. I mean, I don't know what the.
I was wondering if they were like boyfriend girlfriend and like could have enough to talk about for the whole time.
I
They're
think
just
if they were
random
boyfriend
people.
girlfriend, they would make it would be much more difficult to have things to talk about.
And I also wondered if maybe they came up with a list of topics to cover.
But I don't know. Is that scripting? I don't know.
No, but if they just had they'd done some research to make sure they had stuff to talk about. Like, I don't know if I'm interesting enough to talk for 43 hours straight with someone.
Yeah, I don't know. Anyway, you can go. So they have a specific website for this. It's called aworldrecordattempt.com.
Yep.
And you can go there and you can check out about it. They have a couple of videos.
Watch them. They'll be going till 10 p.m. tonight.
Sort of, hopefully. Maybe
Right.
longer. Maybe, who knows? Maybe they'll go to like 50 hours or something. I mean, you don't want to exceed it by 1 minute. It's like once you're there, it's like you might as well
Might
go
as well
as long
talk
as you
for another
can.
20 minutes.
Yeah, just go until it breaks, right? So I don't know. But what's the marketing takeaway here, Karen?
Marketing takeaways is if you've got a boring product, create something remarkable that's related.
Yeah. I mean, not to call international calling cards boring.
I mean,
but
they're
it's
not
not exactly like the most new or like most
It's not like it's
revolutionary
5-hour
product.
energy or
Right.
anything.
So like but it's interesting that they created something that creates a lot of conversation around this topic. So that's
good stuff.
interesting. Yeah, awesome.
All right.
Cool.
Which brings us to our marketing tip of the week.
The marketing tip of the week is think of a world record for your business.
Ooh, yeah, I'm trying to break
We've
it.
got a world record. We
do.
talked about a world record for world's longest conversation.
Yes.
Why not? Maybe there's a world record that you can set.
There are world records for everything. You just go look at online.
Lots
It's
of
all
them.
there.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not even, the ones I look at are always weird.
Do you know how the Guinness World Record thing started? Guinness used to distribute a book of
I
like odd
did know this,
facts
yes.
to like pubs. So like the bartenders would have like interesting things to like throw out to people like as they're chatting with like their customers.
Right.
And that's why it's the Guinness World Records. Like it's actually related to the beer.
I knew that because this summer or last fall when I was in Ireland, I went to the Guinness factory, and they have a whole thing about the Guinness. They actually have a fabulous museum at Guinness, and they give you, but you pay to get in, but then they give you beer on the top, and you look out over the city of Dublin, and it's very cool.
Nice, cool. What are you doing this weekend, Karen?
So I was actually, it's been a big debate what I'm doing this weekend. It was either go to Waterville and go skiing or stay here because of the football game.
There's snow here?
Last night we talked about it. We were like, yeah, we're going to stay. We're going to watch football with friends and blah, blah, blah.
Then we
And
got a
then
little bit of snow.
I got an email from Waterville Valley, the ski resort where we have a house and we go to, and they told us that they got 8 inches of powder last night. So I texted Jared at like 3 o'clock this afternoon. I was like, they got 8 inches of snow. And he was like, we're going skiing. And I tweeted to them to tell them that was really great marketing because we were not going to go and spend money there this weekend. And now we're on our way up.
There you
So
go.
I'm leaving in about 7 minutes to try and get up there before the traffic.
Cool.
So what about you?
Good luck with that.
Yeah.
I've got lots of stupid suburban things to do, but I've got a date Saturday night.
With your wife?
I don't know if it's good or bad. Yes, yes, with
Could
my
be like
wife.
with your mom because
my
like
wife.
it's her birthday or something.
No, it's with my wife.
It could be a date
No.
with like your
a
guy
date with your mom
friends.
is like a little weird. Yeah, a little weird. No, yeah, it's been a while because we have a kid now.
Is this like the
and
first?
he keeps you up like all the time.
Is this like the
I don't know
first?
it's really like the first, but it's been a long time since it's been like she and I eating dinner without like trying to wolf it down while like the kid's sleeping because you know he's gonna wake up or like it's just like it's crazy. But we have my mother-in-law's in town, so she's watching John for the night, so it's gonna be awesome.
That's
fantastic.
awesome. And you have like working toilets and showers.
We have some of the above, yes. We have one of each in different rooms, but yeah, it sort of all works out. So like, yeah.
Well, enjoy your date. Have a great week, folks. We'll see you next week.